But if you guys are new, Vimal is an amazing artist. He works at Double Negative, and he's worked with so many amazing characters. You name it, he's sculpted from John Wick to Game of Thrones to Wolverine, and you can see it on his website at vimalkerketta.com. So if you guys have not checked out his work, you can see his work on his website. So make sure to check it out, and we'll be sharing links as well on the website as well at caveacademy.com. Right, so we'll be going live in just 1 minute. So we're almost there, folks. Thanks for your patience. And thanks once again, Vimal, for joining us. It means a lot. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. It's good to come here, meet these people.
Perfect.
But can you hear me properly?
Yeah, you're saying crisp.
Okay,
oh, dude, you got the same microphone as me. I just noticed.
yeah.
Can't go wrong with the Yeti. Vimal, he says, I'm a big fan of your work. Real inspiration. Awesome. That's good to hear.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.
Are you okay, Vimal?
Yep.
Perfect. But yeah, if you guys are just joining us, like I said, when it comes to questions, as Vimal is doing his live demo, so he's going to be doing his live demo on self-portraits inside of ZBrush. But as he's doing it, you guys can ask your questions throughout the masterclass. So throughout the first 20 minutes, just so you guys know though. But when it comes to the Q&A, obviously I won't be asking those questions throughout the demo. We don't want to distract Vimal from his work, and we'll be able to build upon it from there.
I think even if it's like I'm giving a demo, and then if they want to ask any question, I think it's fine.
Oh, if you're okay, perfect. Yeah, happy days. That makes it nice and easy for us. Yeah. And as always, folks, like I said, so this is going to be on for roughly about an hour, give or take. And he's going to be doing his live demo first. So I'll pass it over to Vimal once everyone starts joining in. And we'll just build upon it from there. But like I said, if you have any questions, whether it's anatomy or maybe it's just a particular pipeline process inside of ZBrush, because obviously ZBrush is our focal point for today. So just keep them coming. We've got our first question. Let's have a look. Oh, it just says hi. Perfect. Great start. Can't go wrong with saying hi. But yeah, so like I said, Vimal's going to be giving us a live demo today, and I'll pass it over to Vimal. So Vimal, I'll let you take it away. We've got people joining us now, so I'll turn off my mic and camera so you can see the man do his work, and we'll take it from there.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, Vimal.
Thanks, guys. Okay, can you see my screen, or do I share?
Yeah. So the share screen's not shared yet, so far I can see just yourself.
Okay, let me share. The screen share.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Vimal.
Is it fine? Can you see the sphere?
Yeah, it looks really good. Perfect.
So a little bit about the interface that I use. It's actually not that complicated. So the most important thing that I use is the lights, because that's the thing. I mean, I compare the pictures with, and here we have I have this custom interface. I mean, for the views, if I have to lock something, like I use this, and two of them right now. And actually, there's not much about my interface to show. So today we'll be sculpting this guy, Liam Neeson. You might have seen him. So for the process for me, it's actually very simple. I'll try to simplify as much as possible, like.
Perfect.
And actually use shortcuts a lot. So if you want to see my shortcuts, is like first is standard. It's for the people who don't know about my workflow, so that's why. The standard is on the first one, because I'll be using and switching a lot. So, and second is on my move. Third is clay, very good for adding the volume. Fourth is the clay buildup. And fifth is stamp. Actually, my pen pressure is not working. One sec.
That's okay. Take your time.
Yeah, let me check my pressure. It's working. Yeah, now it's working. Yeah. And it's trim. That's the main brush that I use just for the blocking. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna start with just blocking ahead, not considering about the guy. Just try to simplify as much as possible. Just I used a clip brush just to like cut it like this. And usually I use like around 30 because I'm so used to working with this angle. So that's why I start with this one. And my process involves dynameshing a lot. Let me check this. Dynamesh, smooth it. Dynamesh and smooth it, that's the thing I use a lot. And with dam standard, I try to block everything. And with trim, I'm gonna make some planes. Just think of the bigger shapes right now. Append the sphere. And if you guys have any question, you can ask me, and then I can talk.
Yeah, that's perfect. But yeah, as obviously as Vimal is going a long way, like you just said, like literally use this as your chance, folks, to ask as many questions as possible. And he's going to be highlighting obviously his full process throughout the hour, and obviously in the Q&A, because obviously this one's a wee bit different to the way we normally do it. We're literally just doing full Q&A. Obviously talking about his process, so you guys can just tune into Vimal while he's sculpting. So the first question is, do you always start from a sphere or a base mesh?
It depends upon what I want to do at that time. Sometimes if it's like a production one, I use the base mesh, or if it's some personalized work, I just use a sphere. It's more about practice.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, base mesh actually gives you a head start, but if you are learning, I would prefer like to use sphere and just use your raw forces, you know.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Go exactly.
So when you're in ZBrush, are you going back and forth a lot with reference in terms of actually using reference inside the ZBrush, or are you just using pure ref and just building up from there?
I think sometimes I use pure ref, but usually for me, I use this software FunView. It's actually free, so I just like switch between the images.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You chose a cool character as well. You can't go wrong with Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Yeah, but for now, I'm not gonna concentrate on this guy. I just like focus on just primary shapes, and then I'm gonna discuss about how to approach the character. So for now, I'll just make. So my process involves a lot of smoothing and dynamesh, so everything is like even.
So we've got another question. Oh, Magda, how are you doing, Magda? Welcome. It's good to see you. So the question is, do you work on your profile of the likeness first and then the other angles like some traditional portrait sculptors, or do you work on all angles together?
I usually put more emphasis on the side. So actually, you're right about that. I just make a base, and then I start with like make sure that the side is good. because in side references, you won't have that much perspective distortion. So actually, it's a good way to lock your features like this. And then just don't worry about anything. Just make, even if you have like the harsh plane, don't worry about this. Just like do this and then smooth it. It's gonna have like very nice angle. Just work on shapes. Bigger one.
Well, they're flying in now. So the next question is, do you work with orthographic view or the perspective view?
I use both. For the perspective when I off it, it's just to see the overall skull.
Yeah.
But usually I just work with perspective one. But it's a good way to check with both, because for the face it should look on like different angles. So I try to check with or without.
Awesome. Because that also tailors into our next question. Is actually similar to the one I was talking to you earlier about. Is like, how much do you use front and side images? Do you always go back and forth, or do you mainly just gather as much reference as possible? Because I understand, obviously, gathering reference at the day, like sometimes you can have images with necessarily not the best focal length, etc. So how do you go about gathering reference?
I think for the references you have to gather as many as possible, because you can actually, you know, take a lot. It's like being a detective. You have to search for clues. So if you get, if you have like so many references, so you can gather the clues and then you can try to merge everything together. Sometimes you get references of the people who are like old, not,
Definitely.
but you can actually grab some information from that picture also. So there is no, the more you have, the more is better.
Yep. Like, going to your point there as well, I think that's always one of the hard things as well. Like when you're gathering your reference, etc., especially when you're just starting out, and when people are trying to do likenesses. Like I was watching a video the other day about Matt Damon, and they were sculpting him as best as they could, but they were bringing up the question of, was the reference accurate? Because at the day, like, you can never know how many years apart, because the face evolves so many times over the years, and it's changing all the time, and it's always a big aspect when it comes to character sculpting.
Pardon?
Oh, I was just saying, like, when characters are getting made and people are using reference, and they're not necessarily as like, they're not, like, how can I say, like, the age difference is so different, if you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they'll be like
yeah.
10 years apart, and the face evolves so many times.
Yeah. So the thing is, with the age, because the skin becomes loose, and because of gravity, everything goes down. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are checking some character like this one, and if you compare the one who's young, everything is like falling.
Yep.
You have these references, but then you have to consider the age, and you know the weight, everything, and you can make him look younger if you're making a younger version.
Perfect.
Or if you have to make him old, you have to add the gravity and other things.
Thanks for explaining that. Really do appreciate it.
So for now, so till now I'm not even looking at the reference. I'm just trying to block everything. And then once I'm happy, then I'll start. So actually I try to find the lines, for the stuff like this. I'll look for these lines. Small, yeah. I try to look for this angle. So this actually tells you the angle of the nose. If it's going down, it's going up. So this is really important to make sure this is going in the right, because you get so many references and it creates an illusion that it could be another way. Sure, let's check some other reference. Like in this one, it feels like it's a bit straight. So you have to compare the angle of the nose according to the eyes and other part of the face to make it right. And choosing a good right side reference is is really important. And this is a good reference, but it has some expression. So if you're going for expression, you can use it. But for the neutral, I actually want to use this one. But for the shape of this, I can actually use it. So let's try to make it. And I think it's better to try as much as possible, just by doing it yourself, not overlaying initially. So you'll actually learn from it. Just make some planes initially.
Vimal, Crystal is wondering, did you study anatomy and also start to practice the sculpt from a sphere to a face?
From a sphere to
a face.
You mean like proper anatomy? Yeah, I think I just did a lot of heads. I mean, I think maybe hundreds, around, like more than that. I used to do a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think I learned anatomy just like reading books.
Mm-hmm. Because she's also wondering as well, do you start sculpting the skills first then and then slowly build into a character, or you just do
no, I just start with the face directly. But if you have the skull inside, it is good. But I did already a lot of. Yeah, just like usually just flip between the images. Okay, I'm gonna. So I just add some volume and then smooth it. This is one of my technique that I use a lot.
Oh, this is another great question. How long do you stay in symmetry for?
Until I'm happy with the forms.
Perfect.
Yeah, so, but I once I'm happy with the overall volume of the head, and then I break the symmetry as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Important thing is don't be afraid of the symmetry.
Of course.
I mean, breaking the symmetry. And sometimes when you don't understand what's going on in the face, just add some planes. Adding planes really helps. It's actually very hard to concentrate and sculpt at the same time, like talk.
Oh man, like the first time I ever started live streaming, it took a long time just to get used to going back and forth with the chat. It takes a bit of practice.
Yeah.
Especially when you only have a limited time frame as well. It's always sometimes it can be very stressful depending on the situation.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
completely feel what you mean. You're doing a great job though. But yeah, as always, folks, I'm seeing a lot of questions as well coming through. So the next question that we have, this is an interesting one because I know you do a lot of 3D printing, Vimal. So the question is, what about perspective for 3D print and how much it should be?
I think there is I think it doesn't matter with the perspective actually for printing. It's mostly the shape of the skull. So if the shape of the skull is fine, then it should not be,
Yeah.
Sometimes what happens is people work on like high perspective and then their model looks like something like this. And then when they turn off the perspective, the whole model becomes a bit, like that.
Yeah.
So important thing is to make sure the overall skull is fine, is good. Like right, the perspective is off. So I'm just working on overall shape of the head. And if it's fine, then if you print it, it's gonna be fine. Initially, you have to do some tests for the printing because sometimes the eyes become small, but then it goes with the experience. Again, I'm gonna dynamic it right now. Actually, I'm switching the references on the other screen on the one. You cannot see it here. And usually when I work, I usually put the reference in the same screen. I don't have to like look from one screen to another screen. Because what happens is you lose information. When you see one screen and then switch to other screen, you lose a lot of information while just looking from here to here. So it's better to just check in the single screen.
Because that was actually one of the questions that I actually was going to ask you earlier, because I used to have a habit, obviously, because we're so used to having so many monitors these days, especially with the way the industry's going, that we forget that it's always the quick glance that makes the biggest difference. And being able to actually see your image right in front of you on screen, and you have to keep rotating your head. Like you said, it's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get 100% accuracy or as close to the final result that you're actually aiming to achieve. So we've got another interesting question when it comes to the perspective. Do you have a focal length value that you stay true to, or like you always stay the same number? No, perfect.
It's usually 30, but I keep switching between them. The important thing is you should not be afraid of doing any changes. You should just go along with it. Oh.
And the next question, so the next question that's came through is from Tadas. He says, are long studies more important or short ones? What do you prefer?
I think both, because with when you do like short ones, it's more like the revision, and when you do the long one, you can actually work on the more finer details, and also you have more information about how to proceed. But when you do like short study, you just only focusing on the bigger volume.
Yeah.
So is you can learn a lot from. It's like doing long study with the quick sketches with pencil, or with a short one. So it's the same thing. So it's both unnecessary.
So like when it comes to your artwork, because I understand that I know you do lots of sketching, and it's the question that we ask all the time, but it's always great asking a person like yourself to highlight how important it is. Like how important has sketching and drawing been in your character creation to get better?
I think it's really important, even if you're a sculptor or a modeler. I think sketching will improve your sculpting and painting and other things, because and especially the live drawing, if you do that.
Yeah, oh, completely.
Because when you're sculpting, you have so many angles to focus on, so your mind cannot just take all the things. But if you're sketching, you know exactly. I mean, what things are working, like what are the things that are working and what are things that are not working. So actually, it's
yeah. Do you think it's easier to get, because like how can I say, so when I'm working in ZBrush, so obviously my main thing's environment art. However, when it comes to characters, so when I was doing statues for the first time, I felt that because obviously ZBrush you can zoom in so closely. Do you think when it comes to starting out and getting better at the actual fundamentals, it's actually not about getting so close to the sculpt as in just like focusing on like the bigger picture, if you know what I mean, instead of just being zoomed in all the time?
Yeah, I think it's good to I think I didn't change my perspective. Yeah, I think it's good way to see the model from far away, or sometimes if I want to check my sculpt, I just take some shots and send it to my phone. And
Definitely.
when I see the first glance, actually oh, I did a mistake, because it's been so long that I'm just looking at the same sculpt. Your mind tends to make everything correct, like this it says that this is looking good. And whenever I send it to my phone, it's a little hack, but it's exactly tells me the first impression is, does it look like the guy or not? If it doesn't, so I know something is wrong or something like that.
Perfect. Well,
it's just to see with the new perspective.
So on you go.
Yeah, you can just ask me.
I was just going to say, so one of the next questions that came through is, so does that apply as well? So when it comes to your process, is your process the exact same when it comes to males and females, or is it quite different?
I think it's a good question, but I haven't realized it. But I think for females, I try not to block that much. I try to simplify things. I actually maybe if I just block it, but I try to soften it for females as much as possible. But for male, I try to keep it blocky. And when I'm happy with the volume, and then it turns to smooth it, so it comes with a good volume.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not saying if you are going, if you are just starting a sphere, just don't worry about anything. Just the thing is, even if I'm adding details, I just smooth it. That gives me a very good volume as a base. So now I can again subdivide it and then sculpt in again.
So would you say that you're spending obviously most of your time in as low as res as possible then?
Yeah. Just even I'm not considering any breaking the symmetry at this point. I'm just looking at the sculpt to make it a more convincing, and then I'm gonna transfer that sculpt to the character that I'm sculpting. It's more like the practice that I do.
I think that's always the hard part, because obviously when you're starting out, especially for beginners, you tend to go into Dynamesh and go crazy with it, but at the end of the day, you want to push the pose as far as you can.
Yeah. So if you just see his nose, it has really nice plane. So you can, because that's good thing about ZBrush is even if you have the volume there, you can just squeeze things You can pull volumes here from here and there. It's actually nice. You have to feel the volume. You have to, like, you have to think in your mind that the expression that is making, you have to actually feel it. It's very difficult to explain, but it's like you have to think in your mind. You have to make the face like this actually.
Well, the questions are flying through. We just got like 20 in one go. Right. The next question is, how much do you use the see-through mode at the top? Do you ever use that at all in ZBrush for making your characters?
Yeah, I do that, but at this point I don't do it. I just try to grab as much information that I can do, just for looking at the pictures. And
Perfect.
what I believe is with see-through is it's like an answer. So when it's like a puzzle, right?
Definitely.
This is like a puzzle. So if you have to understand how it works, and you have to find the answers, and then you're happy with the answer, then you check with the see-through. So that actually trains your eyes, trains your mind, and then you know this is a problem that's happening, and then you work on that. So till now, haven't even used the references yet. It's difficult to concentrate on both of things.
Yes, it's a lot to take in. I'll try not to throw too many questions at you. I'll let you sculpt as well so everyone can enjoy.
So he has a nice like labella, this line. Have to put that. So the thing is, even I'm checking the side reference, I'm adding the volume in the front position, so I'm more accurate with that. I'm not just like stretching it like this. I'm trying to see where I can add the volume. Okay.
That actually tailors into one of the next questions that came through. What would you say is the most common mistakes when it comes to creating volumes in male and female characters?
Okay, so what I've especially seen is people not putting like proper volume at this called the node. So sometimes I have seen a lot of skull that is actually flat. It makes it a bit stylized and it's not like much realistic. So you have to make sure that, volume in here. And there are a couple of points that you have to keep in mind, like the angle of this. So from bottom, it needs to have like this angle, like concave. And yeah, it's a good example that you have to check the skull from all angles, like this. And other things I've seen is this area. So sometimes people try to sculpt the face like from here.
Do you find that most students tend to get too distracted on the front view rather than focusing on all views, do you think?
I think they rely on like the pictures a lot, like whatever the pictures they see, they just try to just match it. That's the common mistake I've seen. I think if somebody's starting, it's best to just focus on the overall, like, working on just on the planes. And you have to understand how planes work, how face works, and overall proportion. So everything is, if everything is locked, the proportion and the volume is locked as a just an average human.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do it a lot until it's put in your brain, and then you can start doing likenesses and other characters to improve. Because when you do that, you can get more information on type of noses, because there are like millions of different types of noses. So the more you do, and the more you will learn with every sculpting.
Perfect. So would you say that's like the biggest problem when it comes to, I guess, tackling likenesses early on, is that because it's obviously very challenging in regards to trying to, obviously you can tell when something goes like uncanny valley, and when it comes to actually starting out, probably not go down the route of likenesses first?
I think if my suggestion is to like start with, because if you go in likenesses, you get like frustrated like very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very difficult, but it requires, the thing is, even I'm doing right now, like if I do start any sculpt, I struggle a lot, like every sculpt. And it's important that you have to understand that you will fail. You'll fail a lot, especially in the subject for the faces.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really, really frustrating. You will feel like you want to kill yourself. That's frustrating.
It's just that bad. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So you have to be cool with, if you want to sculpt something. You just have to work something. If you're not working out, take a break, like chill, and then come back and see what's the problem.
Yep.
Even with that, if you don't find the mistake, that means you don't have that much information. You don't have that much experience. You don't have that much, what do you call it? Knowledge about the face for the particular person.
Mm-hmm.
If you are blocked, just take it instead of getting frustrated. Just put it as a learning thing and then start a new one.
Yep. Just evolve from there.
Yeah, because it's better to like not get frustrated. Because if you are stuck in one portrait and you get frustrated and you get stuck with it, so it's not healthy.
Yep. It's always about finding the right balance. It's always the hardest thing, especially when you're just starting out. Sometimes you get lost, like you said. You never know what to do. And anatomy being the beast that it is, it's like there's so much to learn. But like you said, it's only if you don't do it, you're not going to learn. So you have to just accept the failure and just keep embracing it and build it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, also, that's the part people do mistake this way. So they sometimes just forget this triangle in here. So usually what they do is they start like this, and then they forget the empty space in here. It's called the triangle. So it's important to like if they add that.
So when you're on you go. Sorry.
Yeah. Also the overall volume of the face, like of the mouth. So you need to have that the bulge in here overall. You have that concavity, and then you can sculpt on the top. So you give you a proper one instead of just like, because what happens is the volume will be different from the lower one as compared to the upper one. So better to have like equal volume. Yeah, you were saying something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's just because you're talking about volumes that one of the next questions was, do you measure between bony points as if using the calipers or eyeball it?
I'll just eyeball it.
Eyeball it, right? Okay.
Yeah, I just like eyeball it.
So would you say when it comes to obviously starting out, I guess understanding just like common rules of fundamentals, is there certain rules that you always stay true to?
Uh, for the face, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, just for the face in general, is there always like a certain setup or approach that you just get everything done first before you actually start making it more actual, like an actual likeness piece?
yeah. So for initially, just like try to make sure everything is on point. Like if I make a like cheekbone in here, like so make sure that it's in anatomical correct. Like it's going if the glabella is on point, if the cheekbone is point, it's not like going here. And from the start, like from the sideways, I make sure it's not like in here. So it's not making the angle like that. It should be, you know.
Well, that's another one as well. Like especially when it comes to myself starting out, was like the zygomatic was actually getting that position always right. I think lots of people get that they either make it too clean or they over exaggerate it. It's almost more hero like rather than that actual likeness.
You mean like more? I didn't get the question. Like, is it more like stylish thing you're talking about?
Yeah, I think they make the is it the zygomatic like they make it just too clean as it's too perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's more like the way you're approaching things. So I can turn it into a stylized version also, or realistic. So for realistic,
Yeah,
it's going to be main thing is this is a guide. When you're adding the plane, this is a guide like where the placement will be, and it's mostly so you don't like you don't get caught up with the details. That's why I try to like make it with the planes,
yeah, of course.
and then when happy with this, and then I can easily smooth it. And then on the top of it, then I'm gonna add like small volumes if I have to like add any details or anything. But that comes like later. I just don't even think about it at this point of time.
Thanks for that, man.
And I just like I just eyeball the eyeball.
Perfect. You can't go wrong there.
Yeah. So
I think it's always interesting though when people are making eyes is that there's many ways of approaching it. You got obviously it depends on the pipeline or what you're trying to achieve, whether it's just trying to create a bust, like whatever it may be. But some people like they just make the actual eyes from just the main head itself, and then
yeah,
you've got other people who are doing what you're doing right now who are actually build it around the eye just through
yeah.
adding a sphere and ZBrush.
Yeah, usually sometimes I just like start from this also, like just like first negative and have the base and then adding,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
you can add that also in both ways. Then add some negative in here.
I always find it easier though doing it with a sphere. I think it's more challenging if you don't use a sphere, but I might be wrong.
What do you mean?
Like, do you know when you just use the sphere for the eyes? I think that's easier in order for starting out anyway.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's up to like people what they want to use. But with a sphere, it really definitely helps because you don't have to like worry. Because right now, I don't know if it's like perfect sphere,
Yeah.
but with the sphere, it's like you have free feeling. I'll just stick with this one. And you have to make the sure of the some points like this is the widest point of the head, so you have to like make sure all the points are on correct, everything is fine with the anatomy. Let's skip some. Actually, I pay a lot of emphasis on the nose because I feel like it breaks a lot of silhouette. Like if you see from side or if you see any angle, it breaks a lot of it, and it's easy. You can do a lot of like easy mistake on sculpting on the nose because I'm really obsessed with just. I think maybe it's a obsession for the nose, but I like. I just like try to make it as perfect as possible.
Well, I guess that tailors into one of the questions as well. So, like earlier, one of the early questions I forgot to ask it was: is there any particular feature over the years that you've probably maybe found most challenging? I know you're speaking of the nose there, but has there been like maybe the ears, or has there been a particular element through your years of sculpting that's been very challenging?
I think it depends upon different character.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like if you try to sculpt something, like it has very pronunciate features, like Arnold. He has very like solid jaw, and he has very unique, mouth, nose, and everything. If you try to sculpt on those things, it gets more difficult actually.
Yeah.
Because what happens is people try to exaggerate things because you're focusing a lot of, they're not focusing on the whole thing as a whole face.
Yeah.
Particular focusing on that particular area because that's a very unique characteristic of him, and they will not like focus on the other part of the face. So that's the problem I've seen. It's really important to give the same love to all the features. It's not just this.
Yeah, you have to go around the sculpt.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy though to get carried away when you're so kind of I don't know, like you said about the nose, like it's so easy to go back and forth and you forget about the whole picture.
Yeah. So it depends upon different face. I struggle with characteristic of any person. It depends upon like face, ear. Those two. And one thing is I try to see the depth. So you have to pay more attention on the depth, how much you're doing it. Because if I'm sculpting the lips, I would pay more emphasis on the depth in here, than less in here and more in here. So from far away, it looks better with a different shadow. So you have to think according to the as 2D thing. Like if you're drawing somebody or if you are making a portrait with charcoal, so you have to think like that also, even if you're sculpting in 3D. The shadows, how shadows are working.
So when you're in ZBrush, do you change the lighting setup at all to answer that question that you just did there?
Yeah, lighting. Yeah, I mean, you mean the lighting in general, or is the material?
And well, even both, because obviously when I'm sculpting, obviously I always change the material every now and then just to freshen it up, just to see from a different perspective, because it always makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's true. For lighting, I mean, a lot of, right now, I'm just focusing on just like sculpting freehand, like just as a form, so I'm not using that much, but after some time, I'll just like check on different angles to have like different perspective for the sculpt. And if for the material, I usually use skin, because what happens is I usually work with the basic material.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
let's keep it the basic.
Yeah, but the problem with this is you cannot see bottom part of the nose, those kind of areas. And if you just turn it like this, still you can see, but you cannot actually see how much volume is going on. So what I do is I just use skin shade, and just to see the bottom line and the angles, I just use skin shade. And now I can see the planes like this. So for me, it's easier. But if I turn to basic material, you cannot see much.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, that's cool. The other thing as well with the latest update, obviously, I think it's been around now for about a year, is like the silhouette. Like I remember not having that, like the icon at the top left, like that was life changing for me. It made such a big difference.
It's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
when I'm like posing anything, posing a character, I use it a lot. Like it's really helpful just seeing, not focusing on anything else, because you can easily see the mistake if you're just working with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the shape skull is not working, then just change it.
Oh, this is another interesting question. Do you work on layers at all?
Yes.
Yep.
Is the thing. Oh yeah, I can just show you the things that I do with layers. Is so when I'm happy with the base head sculpt, first go with the layer and then let's sculpt like maybe for like half an hour and the thing, and then before I'm doing any skin pore or something, just before that, and I'll check. Like suppose if I'm like working on this and then and it's actually helpful in designing your characters. So suppose I work like this and I'm happy with it at this point of time, and I try to search it. So I can easily see if I like the changes or not. So I'll make intervals. So if I'm happy with the sculpt, I just bake it. If not, I just delete the layer and start over. So it's more like you have to find a path, and then you have like two paths. So you have like option. When you're working on something, when you have options, when you're looking at it, then you don't know if it's right or wrong, right? I mean, it's going in the right direction or not.
Yeah.
But if you have a comparison, then actually, no, this is better than this, so I'm going to go in this path. And then you make a linear there, then check again. Because sometimes it's easier to get lost while sculpting. You're trying to improve it, but you're trying to it happens a lot with me also. Like you're trying to improve it, but it doesn't go like that way, and it becomes like worse than that. So that's why I keep the layers, and then after half an hour, I check if I'm going the right direction is fine. Now delete it and start over again.
Thanks for that, man.
Yeah. So I don't like it, I'm going to delete it. So
I think that's one of the things we as artists have to kind of get used to, is the fact that, especially when you're in the industry, like you have to get used to just deleting things all the time. You have to start from scratch, you name it.
yeah.
And it's been comfortable with starting from scratch again, because naturally you're going to get better anyway. So the more you kind of get used to it, the better the result's going to be.
Yeah. And the more you do, you slowly understand the things which is wrong. So you'll see things where you are not seeing these things before.
Mm-hmm.
You see the mistakes. And it's important to like check all the angles. Yeah, sunken eyes. So just
Oh, this is another great question. How long does it take roughly? I know this will depend, but on average to complete a finished bust?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes sorry. At one point of time, I was doing one sculpt a day,
Mm-hmm.
and it was more like a challenge for myself that I'm gonna finish everything from start to end with hairs and everything. So I do this kind of studies in between and try to like limit myself how like good stuff I can do in that particular time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could take a month or it could take a week. It's totally dependent on the how much like
Yeah, like
how
what
much
you're
you
trying
can
to
understand
achieve.
the face of that character.
Yeah. Like I always think it's always like the interesting question. Like I understand like lots of students ask it all the time, like how long did it take? Like work, did you make this in a few hours? Did you make this in a few days? Like what's the kind of benchmark people have to get to? And it's always a hard one to kind of justify, because at the end of the day it's a learning curve. Like for example yourself, you've been sculpting for years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you can say I do this maybe in a day, whereas in comparison to maybe people who are just starting out, it could take them a month, it could take them 2 months. You never know what to say. So when it does come to that question, it's always comes down to just depends, and it's a hard question to answer. So I completely feel where you're coming from.
Yeah. And sometimes problem is people who are starting, they compare they're not able to like get the output. They get frustrated, and they
Yeah.
compare their work with the people who are in the industry for like 10 years, like 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't get the same output, they get frustrated.
Yep.
And what I want to like say that is you don't have to be frustrated. It's more like just do. If it's good, it's fine. If not, just like scrap it and start again. It's
Yep.
like repetition.
I just realized I should have turned on the videos. It's on now, folks. You can see me.
Yeah.
Makes it easier for you to see me as well, Vimal.
Yeah.
So the next question is, this is another great one. So how do you measure the eyeball size?
So initially, just like put it like I put it like that. First is a rest estimate, and then I actually changed while I sculpt because I try to like analyze the eyes and the shape of the eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually tells a lot of like if you just place an eyeball. But usually I just like I told before also that's like eyeball,
Yep.
the eyeball.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I try to find the hints because this is like sunken. This is like if you see this.
So I guess that also. Oh well, actually, I'll let you finish. On you go.
Yeah, you can just ask like.
I was just gonna say because like, do you do lots of paint overs these days? Like when it comes to your artwork, as in, are you always trying to plan out what to do next through like Photoshop or what you're doing right now?
This is more like explaining, but the thing is, if you get stuck, there is no. You can just. You should ask question to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be your own teacher. So, if you think, okay, so this is not working right. So what do I have to make it? What I have to do to make it right? So, for example, like if I have for example, okay. For example, we have this sculpt in here, and it's not working from this angle, but it's working with this. So you have to think how to fix it.
Yep.
You have to imagine like this is the plane. I mean, this is like this. So only way it can be fixed is going forward or going this side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we have this axis. So if you are moving this here on this axis, it's ruining the other axis, other angles. So you have to like raise question to yourself and see if I'm gonna move it on the right, it's gonna screw this angle. So which angle I'm gonna move so that fits the other angle. So these are the different clues you have to like think just like for yourself.
Yep.
And if you want to like you can just make pointers,
Because I think like, naturally, just when it comes to your pipeline, I think everyone has to realize that paint overs go such a long way. Like it's something so simple, but you get so sidetracked when you're in ZBrush.
Yeah. And you need to like know the anatomy inside because stuff like this, he has like you need to understand all these. Then you're able to like make it properly. You have to understand what you're seeing. It's not just the break. You have to understand what's happening.
Yep. Because I think when you're doing art, like especially for myself, when I was starting out in college, you tend to guess a lot of things, but when it comes to actually anatomy, you can't really guess anatomy. Like you have to put the time in and actually appreciate everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like you said right at the start, the importance of planes, you name it. Like we forget how important these fundamentals are because without it, it's just going to break the pose.
Initially, when I started, I actually didn't follow what I'm trying to say. That I was not following making the planes. I just started likeness, and but with me also, I was not getting frustrated. I was making like shit, shit sculpt.
Right.
As I was just like making it and scrapping it, making and scrapping it. Then slowly I realized I have to like start work, like learning the planes. Then I started learning the plane, and that actually helped me a lot.
So do you think, so this actually goes to our next question, and we've kind of answered similar to this, but we'll ask it just in case. So is it okay to sculpt a likeness of a face for a month rather than a week? Like how, when it comes to beginners, where would you say is a good kind of benchmark to kind of aim towards?
The thing is you have to understand what are you trying to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, trying to aim for like trying to, if you can keep it like this, just make a one portrait for a month and keep the other one a shorter duration, that I'm gonna stick with 1 week and start a new one, 2 week, third or 3 weeks, and you make 4 sculpt in a 1 month, right?
Right.
And after on the second month, what you do is you go on the first one you made, and you will actually see the mistake that you did.
Yep.
So you can keep switching between them, and actually you'll, after 4 months, you'll have like good sculpt, like 4 sculpt. So this is the way I do.
Perfect.
I switch between the sculpt to have like good perspective, like I can see the sculpt with a fresh eye.
Yeah, of course. Oh, this is another great one. Through your years of sculpting, what character that you've sculpted is the most difficult to capture for the likeness? Has there been one out of all the pieces that you've made over the years that this has just been like the creme de la creme, the hardest one to make?
Uh,
It's probably a hard question. You've made so many.
yeah, I think there are so many actually. There's so many, but I usually, let me think. It was Henry Cavill.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that? Was it just a particular feature?
Yeah, I think I was struggling with especially the nose and capturing the essence.
Right, okay.
And for this one, I had to spend a lot of time.
Wait, so when you mean essence, do you mean as in just making it feel just right, as in not making it canny, or like what do you mean by the essence?
By essence, what I mean, like when you see the character, you have to feel, even there's subtlety of
Yeah,
expression. You have to feel it, like it's very angry. You have to connect with the audience,
yeah, of course. The
because
connection with it.
yeah, because even with this picture, like what has right now, he has this essence. You have to feel it.
Hmm.
It's very difficult to explain about, like, when you feel something. So that's why if you try to put that, then it will differentiate with the other sculpts
Yep.
that you connect with people. That's what sometimes when I sculpt, I try to make a sculpt that's looking to the audience,
Hmm.
and try to connect with them and try to see, what I want to like convey.
Yep. Thanks for that, man. But yeah, folks, keep your questions coming. As always, we're going to be here for quite a bit longer, so we'll make sure to get all your questions answered. So if you have any questions for Mal, just keep them coming through the Q&A, because as you can tell, today's a wee bit of a different one. We're just literally doing a whole Q&A while he sculpts. So if you have any questions in regards to ZBrush, or maybe it's something very particular into anatomy, and we'll take it from there. Okay, next question is from Crystal. How do you pose your head when it's needed by using transpose? Do you suggest we pose from the start, from low polygon, or when the model with detailing? I know it's a bit of a mouthful, that one. So the first part is, how do you pose your head when it's needed by using transpose?
I think it just think I just use transpose just to, and I make sure that I have like something, low poly with it.
Mm-hmm.
So once I'm happy with the sculpt, so I just like ZBrush it and have something for like, for the low res thing. So it's easier for me to like pose. So I keep the one with this. It's taking a lot of time.
The joys of processing. That's okay, man. Take your time. No rush. But no, thanks for the great question, Crystal. Much appreciated.
So first I just like merge everything. I didn't merge the ears right now, but after that I just like, if I have to pose it, I just like to transpose. And it's like if this has the hard line, just smooth it a bit. And you have to make sure that the beauty shot that you want to take into the main angle, it should look good. So something like this. I usually do something like that.
Just subtle adjustments.
Actually, I'm gonna transfer this with the ear. So I'm gonna project it on the top. I have the lower one with me. Turn it on. Solo. Transpose master. God. And rest it in smooth. Make it. Try to keep it in the center. Oh God. Yeah. You can add extra details. It's done by normal, like I just use transpose for these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna sculpt asymmetry now. Just work in like the bigger chunks. Just I use clay brush a lot, just to like add that.
That was that was one of the other questions as well. I take it you tend to use the same kind of standard brushes just to get through your general pipeline. You don't really change it that much.
No, it's mostly standard clay, and so if I have to make something more fleshy, then I use a clay builder
Mm-hmm.
because it acts like really nice. If I subdivide once and then if I do this, and if I smooth it a little bit, it has this fleshy line, for free. So it really helps. It really helps in like stuff like this. And then I use inflate for stuff like adding some volumes in here. But I try to like think of it as a like clay sculpt, so I just like throw volumes like that. Like,
Yeah, just adding a bit by bit.
yeah, like take the clay and then I want to add something in here, add it. Want something there, add it here.
Well, based on what we're working on at the moment, this is actually tailors in once again. So do you start sculpting expressions first or make it neutral face at first?
I try to make it neutral first,
Mm-hmm.
and then make him like whatever I'm working, then expression again. So it gives me But depends upon, like, if I'm making a person who's laughing, or like a
Yeah.
totally different face, then I start with the expression.
Right.
And if it's neutral, like if it's a little bit smiling or doing something, so I start with neutral and then add expression on the top.
Like when it comes to expressions and making certain emotions, etc., has there through your years of sculpting, is there any main features that? Well, this is a big question, so there's going to be a lot to take in. But it's like there's obviously lots of movement in the face. Like there's so much complex things going on. And is there any main things that have stood out to you over the years that happens inside the face in terms of when you're posing a face, etc.?
What do you mean for the expression?
Yeah, like, do you have, like, for example, I noticed this, like, for example, blend shapes, etc. You got the different mouse shapes, etc. Just to
Yeah.
get blend shapes working. Like, what have you learned when it comes to muscles and how important is muscles to
Oh,
learn?
you mean like if you're making any movements or something like that?
Yeah,
So if I have a big expression or something like that, so I try to, suppose just say morph target in here, and like imagine if it's like laughing, and there's like skin movements and all.
yep,
So what I do is I just move things back. This is for mostly like if you're working professionally for like making a blend shapes, those kind of things. So move it. So this is for the movements, right? So if I just like mask it in here, or first I have to like first I'm gonna do it safe. I'm gonna make a new layer and move everything. Imagine this for the movement, it's gonna laugh or something. Then I'm gonna go here, mask it, and then project morph. So actually you get the same volume, but then you got a slide also.
awesome. Thanks for showing that. Much appreciated.
Yeah, so it's like you have the same bone structure inside.
Yep.
Sometimes when you try to move it, so you're moving the bone also.
Yeah.
So when you have the bone inside, then the flesh can slide on the top. So I think this kind of thing is really helpful at doing that. So you have the movements, but inside the bones will be same.
Yeah, it's always remembering that there is a skull inside. I think sometimes we forget about that.
Yeah, if you see as the sliding on top of the bone.
Rob, just to answer your question, so you said, will there be a recording of this? Yes, so all this, when it comes to Cave Academy, every video goes up onto the masterclass. So if anyone's have just joined us live a wee bit later, if you did miss some of the start, the recording will be under masterclasses on the website at caveacademy.com. So trust me, you won't be missing any of this. So you'll be fine there. So yeah, that's not a problem at all. Thanks for the question. I really do appreciate it.
Just keep throwing the bunch of mosses.
So folks, we'll be going for another 18 minutes, so make sure to get your questions rolling. So if you have any questions, keep them coming. And thanks for everything that you've answered so far, Vimal. I know it's a lot to take in.
Good, man.
So the next question, this is another great one. So as a beginner, should one start with likenesses, sculpting, or making generic faces first?
I think I would suggest just a generic face.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because you need to understand the basic principles first, rather than just like jumping on a likeness.
Yep, of course.
I'm not even just like paying so much attention on the whole face. It's just like I'm just drawing random details and try to like capture the main essence, and then slowly I'm going to start matching the whole face.
Yep. Oh, so for blocking out the initial likeness, do you think Sculptress Pro could help, or do you prefer Dynamesh?
I think I use actually both sometimes, but usually for Sculpting Pro is mostly like just to have the base. Like you have to add something or pull something out and then Dynamesh it. Because with Sculpting, sometimes what happens is that irritates me a lot. If you just like go through this, and if you have the bigger brush and then you do subdivision. So if you have like bigger one, just then it creates these kind of things.
Oh, right, okay. It's like artifacts in a way.
Yeah, just like I don't like it.
Yeah, of
It's good
course.
for like, you know, if you are making a like a home. It's good. And one option that I use a lot is AccuCurve, like boom. So you have like oh no. And inline I just like Dynamesh it because it's I like my polygons to be like a bit simplified.
Yeah, of course.
Just do again. Yeah. The thing is, even if you lose something, it's actually good. So if I smooth something, it's good because you have like good volume at the inside, and then you can sculpt again. So it's fine.
Just build up from what you did previously.
Yeah.
So Emma, unfortunately, so today is literally just going to be just sculpting in ZBrush. However, maybe in the future that might be a possibility. But great question. I do appreciate it. But for now, we're just doing sculpting in ZBrush. However, you can check his work out if you want to see more, and stay tuned. So Sandeep says, how does one achieve to get more of an organic feel inside the sculpt or in the sculpt?
Before like even putting that, you have to understand what's going on right now.
Yeah.
That's the mistake that you're doing. If you're trying to see, you don't just put any details like that. You just have to think about it. Why is it there? So you have to, yeah, as I told before also, like you have to talk with yourself. So why you are doing this? Why? If your form is not right, no matter how many details you will put on the tab, it's not going to look organic. Your base is fine, and then you can just put a noise also. So you don't have to, do the skin detail. Just put noise.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I love noise. You can't go wrong noise.
Yeah. So you have to work on like the base first.
Yep.
With that, and then slowly go inside. It's like constructing a building. You need to have a map. You have to structure.
Yep. You have to kind of I think so many people get carried away. I understand people want to dive into detail straight away, but the detail is in the basics. Like basics takes years of practice, so you have to focus on that first.
Now detailing has become like easier part because you got like so many maps for free, and you can use that if you want to do that. But it's better to like make your own to learn.
Oh, Anthony's got a great question. Would you always sculpt a likeness bald, or do you sometimes block in some hair?
I do, like I block here also, but for now, just I want to be happy with the overall skull without
Yeah.
adding the hair. But that I'm gonna add it later. And also, just not the hair, I'm gonna add some color. Is usually I just add like the value painting, like a little bit according to the reference. Something here. I'm gonna use some paint in here.
Right, folks. So we've got 10 minutes left, and there's a few more questions still to be asked. I'm just going through all the questions because there's a lot of ones that are quite similar. So I'm just making sure I ask Vimal the questions that we've not heard in the past. So I just make sure everything's nice and organized for him. Okay, the next question. I know you've sort of explained this one as well, but it'd be great to go in a wee bit more depth. So, how do you determine the depth of the eye inside the skull?
From especially using the side reference.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that area, and then, like if you got like good reference like this. Right now, my eyes are like sunken a lot inside.
It's amazing how quickly you sculpt.
So just like. I'll just check the angle right now. So important thing is the placement. So what I make imaginary line in my head like this. So we have this angle,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the eyes in here. So that's the gonna go for. And from the side, it actually tells you like how sunk are the eyes. But I always check the angle first.
Yeah.
Of these ones. Right with the eyes. And,
does this change over, like, for example, every time it's a different person? I assume the same rules apply to everything.
Yeah. Also, there's one more thing that I want to point it out, like especially when you get a picture and you feel like that's the side view. Like for an example, let me check this one. For example, sometimes you feel like this is like from the side, or maybe not exactly side, but it's really important to have the side reference, because what happens is this is the side right now. This is the side. But if you get a reference that has a bit angle, so automatically what happens is in the reference, the eyes feels like it's sunken a lot. If it's not a side reference, it feels like the eyes is going a bit inside more. So you have to
Right.
make sure you get the proper side reference, then you can match the placement of the eyes. But even if you see like in this one, it's not that much. And this one, you feel like it's going inside a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you have to understand the how much angle is in there, the rotation of the head. There's the thing that there are so many subtleties that you will understand while, because I cannot explain everything.
Yeah, of course. I
Right?
understand.
And once you start doing it, you'll actually find different ways, and you understand why is it not working, why,
Yeah.
what are the hacks, what are tips, you'll slowly understand it.
Yeah, it's just through the doing. I think that's always the hard thing, is like everyone always expects there sometimes just to be one particular way. But
Yeah.
like you said, like everyone works differently. Some people may start from a different part of the face. You never know. Yes, obviously getting the original block out might be quite similar to the majority of artists, but once again, it just goes back to it depends. That's why sometimes when it comes to obviously getting all these questions, sometimes it's a balancing act. It's hard to get the one particular answer for it.
Yeah, for me, I usually work with angles a lot.
Yeah.
Even if I used to do a lot of 2D drawings, then I try to find different angles. Like if it's what's the angle for this one?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to find the angles, like what's the angle for this? So I make imaginary lines in my head. Like what's this angle? Where the cheekbone is lying? What's the angle of the jaw? What the line of this? There are so many things that you need to understand while looking at the sculpt, and you'll check from the bottom and other things.
Okay, let's have a look. Right, folks, so we're going to be live for another 4 more minutes. So we're trying to squeeze in as much as we can. Obviously, it's obviously lots of questions coming in.
Yeah,
it's just been non-stop for them all. Just keep coming. There's a lot of them on TechStream, but obviously, like I said, today we're just focusing on the sculpting aspects.
Yeah.
There's a lot of messages, people saying that you're a big fan, so thank you for all your work.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Give some love to the ear.
By the way, if I have missed your question, as always, folks, we are going to be doing many more of these masterclasses, so stay tuned. And like I said, you can always reach out to us.
Just block it.
Okay, I think this will be a great question to probably finish the masterclass on. Yeah. How do you handle the situation when you're trying to get a likeness for a long time, but not getting it proper for not having a reference? Or is there a particular person that has had a very common look and doesn't have any special features? Right, I think I'll just break that down into 2 questions. So the first part is, how do you handle the situation when you are trying to get a likeness for a long period of time, but you're not being successful?
You just have to live with that.
Yeah, you just have to keep working.
The thing is, if you are not able to find, get the likeness, only thing you can do is have to take the break, because with likenesses, there are so many things that involve with that. There's if you don't have enough references, or if you have pictures, like you're sculpting the guy from like 70s or 40s, so you don't have that many references. There is one thing. So there's so many things that involve with that. And whatever reference that we have, it has so many things like the angle, the light. You sometimes don't get the high resolution pictures. So when we don't look there, you cannot do anything. You just have to take break,
Yeah,
and
of
then
course.
you have to look at it for the fresh eyes, and then you move forward.
Awesome. Vimal, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for joining us here live. As always, folks, most importantly, make sure to check out Vimal's work. If you guys missed at the start, you can check him at vimalkerketta.com. Also, don't forget, like I said, all these masterclasses are recorded. They'll be uploaded to the website at caveacademy.com under masterclasses. So if you guys did join us late, make sure to check them out. As always, these are uploaded at 8 p.m. GMT time, and they'll all be uploaded to the website. Next Thursday, on the 4th of June, brought to you by VES London, tune into our live panel discussion on remote working in the VFX and animation industry. So if you guys are trying to learn more about that, we have an incredible guest panel from wet to digital to double negative, you name it. We have lots of artists coming on for that, so make sure to tune in for that. And we also, next week, starting on Monday, we have our dailies program, which allows you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to be taught and get feedback from industry professionals throughout those weeks and those days. So you can check that on the website under dailies. And thanks once again, as always, to VES London for all the support. So the Visual Effects Society, we really do appreciate collaborating with us here at Cave. And thanks everyone for all these amazing questions. Vimal, you've been such a pleasure having you on. I really do appreciate everything that you've gone through today. And like I said, make sure to check out the man's work. He does incredible work. And we will see you guys in the next masterclass. Thank you, and bye for now.